Ever wonder why your sibling can push your buttons like no one else? Why you two clash over the same thing again and again? Here's the thing, it's literally written in the stars. And today, I'm going to show you exactly how astrology explains those hidden triggers that turn family dinner into a battlefield. Hey beautiful souls, welcome back to Cosmic Blueprints Astrology, where we decode the universe's influence on your relationships. I'm Sino, and if you're tired of those same old sibling dynamics playing out year after year, this video is going to be a game changer. We're diving deep into the astrological houses and zodiac signs that govern sibling relationships. And trust me, once you understand these cosmic patterns, those family gatherings are going to make a lot more sense. Before we get into the nitty-gritty of each sign, let's talk about the astrological foundation of sibling relationships. In astrology, siblings are primarily governed by the third house. This is your house of communication, immediate environments, and yes, your brothers and sisters. But here's where it gets interesting. Your relationship with each sibling is also influenced by your individual sun signs, moon signs, and rising signs. The third house shows us how you communicate with siblings, while your sun sign reveals your core personality in these relationships. Your moon sign, that's your emotional response pattern, the stuff that really gets under your skin. And your rising sign determines how you initially present yourself in family conflicts. But there's another layer. The age gap and birth order create different dynamics based on generational planetary influences. Siblings born close together often share similar outer planet placements, while those with larger age gaps might have completely different generational energies. Let's begin with the fire signs, the more explosive sibling dynamics. So let's start with Aries siblings, and oh boy, if you have an Aries brother or sister, you know exactly what I'm talking about. Aries is ruled by Mars, the planet of war and aggression. These siblings are the ones who turned everything into a competition, who could eat breakfast faster, who could get ready for school first, who could claim the front seats. As adults, Aries siblings still operate from this competitive energy. They're the ones who interrupt you mid-sentence, who always have to one-up your stories, and who somehow make your personal achievements about them. But here's the deeper truth. Aries siblings fight because they care so intensely. Their aggression is actually their way of engaging with you. When they stop fighting with you, that's when you should be worried. The hidden trigger: they need to feel like they matter in your life, and sometimes conflict is how they ensure they're not forgotten. Leo siblings, so ruled by the sun, these are your natural-born attention magnets. Growing up with a Leo sibling means you probably felt like you were constantly in their shadow or competing for your parents' spotlight. Leo siblings have this unconscious need to be the star of every family story. As adults, they're still doing this. They dominate family group chats, they make every family event somehow about them, and they have this way of making you feel invisible even in your own success stories. But here's what's really happening. Leo siblings aren't trying to diminish you. They're operating from a deep fear of being ordinary or forgotten. The trigger: when they feel like they're not being appreciated or acknowledged for who they are. Give a Leo sibling genuine recognition and watch how quickly the dynamic shifts. So moving on to Sagittarius siblings. Sagittarius siblings are the philosophers and adventurers of the family. These are the siblings who always thought they knew better than everyone else, who lectured you about your life choices, and who disappeared for months on some spiritual journey only to return with unsolicited advice about how you should live. The adult version, they're still doing this. They're the ones who can't just congratulate you on your new job. They have to tell you about the bigger opportunities you're missing. They can't visit without critiquing your life choices or suggesting you need to be more expansive. The hidden truth here is their deep need for meaning and growth. When they feel stagnant or like conversations are too surface level, they become preachy and restless. They're not trying to control you. They're trying to push everyone toward what they see as a more enlightened existence. So let's look at the earth signs now, the practical conflicts. So let's begin with Taurus siblings. Taurus siblings are Venus-ruled and very stubborn. These are the siblings who get upset about how you borrowed their favorite sweater in 1995 and returned it with a tiny stain. Taurus siblings have long memories, especially about material things and comfort disruptions. As adults, they're the ones who get genuinely angry about where you want to go for dinner, who have strong opinions about your furniture choices, and who somehow make every family decision take 3 times longer than necessary. They're also the ones who remember every single slight, real or imagined. But here's the thing about Taurus siblings. Their stubbornness comes from a deep need for security and stability. When you change plans last minute or disrupt their sense of order, you're not just being inconvenient, you're triggering their survival instincts. They need predictability to feel safe. Let's move on to Virgo. So, Virgo siblings are Mercury-ruled perfectionists who probably corrected your grammar at the dinner table. These are the siblings who noticed every flaw, who had opinions about how you could improve yourself, and who somehow made you feel like nothing you did was ever quite right. Adult Virgo siblings are still doing this, but now it's about your career choices, your parenting style, or your health habits. They're the ones sending you articles about why you should eat more vegetables or suggesting better ways to organize your life. It feels critical and judgmental, but here's what's really happening. Virgo siblings show love through improvement. When they criticize you, they're actually trying to help you become the best version of yourself. Their trigger is chaos and inefficiency. When they see you struggling or making what they perceive as mistakes, their helping instinct kicks in, but it comes out as criticism. Then Capricorn. Capricorn siblings are ruled by Saturn, the planet of structure and authority. These were the siblings who probably acted like a third parent, who always followed the rules and who made you feel like you were perpetually disappointing everyone. As adults, they're still carrying this authoritative energy. They're the ones with opinions about your financial decisions, your career trajectory, and your life timeline. They ask questions like, when are you going to buy a house? Or don't you think you should be further along by now? The hidden trigger is their deep fear of failure and their need for respect. Capricorn siblings often feel responsible for the family's reputation and success. When they see you making choices they perceive as risky or irresponsible, they're not just being controlling. They're genuinely worried about consequences they feel partially responsible for. And now the air signs, so communication, chaos. We start with Gemini. Gemini siblings are double Mercury-ruled communication masters who probably talked circles around you your entire childhood. These are the siblings who could argue any side of any issue, who changed their minds constantly, and who somehow made you feel like you could never keep up with their mental gymnastics. Adult Gemini siblings are still doing this mental ping pong. They're the ones who send you 15 text messages about nothing, who remember conversations completely differently than you do, and who can make simple family planning feel like negotiating an international treaty. But here's the thing. Gemini siblings process information by talking about it. Their constant chatter and changing perspectives aren't meant to confuse you. That's literally how their brain works. Their trigger is being shut down or dismissed in conversation. When you stop engaging with their ideas, they just talk louder and faster. Libra siblings, so Venus-ruled peacekeepers who probably spent your childhood trying to mediate everyone else's conflicts while secretly keeping score of every injustice. These are the siblings who always wanted everything to be fair, who hated taking sides, and who somehow made family decisions take forever because they had to consider everyone's feelings. As adults, they're still doing this exhausting emotional mathematics. They're the ones who try to manage everyone's feelings during family conflicts, who get stressed when there's tension, and who somehow make their need for harmony everyone else's responsibility. The hidden trigger is conflict and imbalance. Libra siblings literally feel physical discomfort when there's family discord. They're not being fake when they try to smooth things over. They're trying to restore their internal equilibrium. And then Aquarius. Aquarius siblings are Uranus-ruled rebels who probably made you feel like you were too conventional, too predictable, or too concerned with what other people thought. These were the siblings who marched to their own drum and somehow made you feel boring in comparison. Adult Aquarius siblings are still operating from this detached, intellectualized perspective. They're the ones who seem emotionally unavailable during family crises, who have unconventional solutions to everything, and who somehow make you feel like you're overreacting to normal human emotions. Their trigger is feeling controlled or emotionally overwhelmed. When family dynamics get too intense or when they feel like they're being pushed to conform to emotional expectations, they detach even further. They're not being cold, they're protecting their autonomy. Then lastly is the water signs, so it's all about emotional intensity. We start with Cancer. So, Cancer siblings are moon ruled emotional sponges who probably took everything personally and remembered every emotional slight with crystal clarity. These were the siblings who cried when you were mean to them, who brought up old arguments years later, and who somehow made you feel guilty about things you didn't even remember doing. Adult Cancer siblings are still operating from this emotional memory bank. They're the ones who get hurt when you don't call often enough, who remember exactly how you made them feel during that argument in 2003, and who somehow made you feel like you're constantly disappointing them emotionally. But here's what's really happening. Cancer siblings feel everything deeply, and they remember emotions more than facts. When they bring up old hurts, they're not trying to punish you. They're trying to process feelings that never got resolved. Their trigger is feeling emotionally abandoned or unimportant. So Scorpio. Scorpio siblings are Pluto-ruled intensity machines who probably knew all your secrets, who could push your buttons like nobody else, and who had this way of making you feel completely exposed and vulnerable. These were the siblings who saw right through your lies, who remembered everything you wanted to forget, and who could destroy you with a single sentence. Adult Scorpio siblings are still carrying this intense energy. They're the ones who can sense when something's wrong before you even know it yourself, or who ask uncomfortable questions about your relationships and life choices, and who somehow make every family interaction feel like an emotional excavation. Their hidden trigger is betrayal and superficiality. Scorpio siblings need deep, authentic connection. When they feel like you're being fake or hiding something important, their investigative instincts kick in, and they won't stop digging until they reach the truth. And finally, Pisces. So Pisces siblings are Neptune-ruled dreamers who probably lived in their own world, who were incredibly sensitive to family energy, and who somehow made you feel like you were too harsh or too realistic for caring about practical things. Adult Pisces siblings are still operating from this intuitive, boundaryless perspective. They're the ones who call you crying about dreams they had about the family, or somehow absorb everyone else's emotions during family gatherings, and who make you feel guilty for being logical about emotional situations. Their trigger is harshness and emotional overwhelm. Pisces siblings feel everything, not just their own emotions, but everyone else's too. When family energy gets too intense or when they feel like they're not being understood on an intuitive level, they withdraw or become even more emotionally reactive. Now, beyond your sun signs, the house placements in your birth chart reveal even more about sibling dynamics. So the third house planets show your communication style with siblings. Mars here, you probably fight frequently but passionately. Venus here, you might be the peacekeeper. Or Saturn here, there might be age gaps or serious responsibilities involving siblings. Fourth house connections reveal how siblings fit into your concept of home and family security. Strong fourth house energy might mean your sibling relationships are central to your identity. Eighth house links suggest deep, transformative relationships with siblings, the kind where you either love each other intensely or can't be in the same room. And lastly, the 11th house shows how siblings function as friends in your life. Some siblings are meant to be close friends, others are meant to teach you about different types of relationships. So what do you do with this information? First, understand that your sibling's annoying behavior isn't personal, it's astrological. That Aries sibling who always has to be first, they're not trying to diminish you, they're expressing their Mars energy. That Cancer sibling who remembers every slide, they're not trying to punish you, they're processing deep emotional experiences. Second, work with their astrological nature, not against it. Give your Leo sibling genuine appreciation. Give your Virgo sibling space to help in their way. Give your Aquarius sibling intellectual respect rather than emotional demands. Third, understand your own triggers through your chart. If you have strong Cancer placements, you might be taking your Aquarius siblings' detachment too personally. If you have strong Aries energy, you might be escalating conflicts with your Taurus sibling unnecessarily. The truth is, we don't choose our siblings, but we choose how to understand them. Astrology gives us a framework for seeing our siblings as complex individuals with their own cosmic blueprints, rather than just sources of frustration or competition. Your sibling relationships are some of the longest lasting connections. Understanding the astrological dynamics can transform these relationships from sources of stress into opportunities for growth and deeper understanding. So drop a comment below and tell me, what's your sibling sign? And does this explanation help you understand your dynamic better? And if you want me to dive deeper into any specific sign combination, let me know. Don't forget to subscribe for more cosmic relationship insights, and I'll see you in the next video. Until then, keep well.